Today on Locked On Rockies, unfortunately, as we've seen a lot as Rockies fans, the Colorado Rockies could not escape Clayton Kershaw.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 22nd day of August in the year 2025. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies right here on the Locked On Rockies podcast. That's how we that's what we do. I love hearing from the Rockies fans here, especially as, you know, when you look at it and when you look at how this series ended, you're kind of like, the bad taste in your mouth, especially because it wasn't necessarily a very pretty game for the Colorado Rockies in the finale against the Dodgers, and Chase Dollander unfortunately continuing to struggle, especially at home here. But there's a piece on MLB.com that highlights the fact that it's cliche, and we will be leaning on the cliche, but I do want to kind of go into this, the dive into the growing, learning what it's like and just getting the rep type of thing, because while there is reason to be, concerned about Chase Dollander, the issues, the concerns here, like this is the type of battle, like I kind of want them to face early on here, these young guys, the adversity and the reminder of, if you walk a guy at Coors against the Dodgers can punish you. If you give the free opportunities, if you don't make the plays, if you boot the ball, if you kick it around, if you're not focused and locked in here, good teams like the Dodgers will do that to you. The Rockies were able to fight back a couple of times here. I mean, Brenton Doyle launching an absolute bomb to the concourse there, just about, and some other signs here, of course, as well. But this is, as much as this series was such a reminder of you have to, of replicating it. Every day is different, and the challenges that it takes for young guys to make their way into the major leagues. And I think that's what Chase is going through. So we're going to break it all down and, of course, look ahead to the weekend as well. Before we dive into everything, got to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two to any golf tournament in the U.S. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament and ends October 31st, 2025. So it's a dud for the Rockies in the finale. The Rockies, unfortunately, getting shelled a little bit there. Chase Dollander only going 3 2/3 inning, allowing 7 earned runs off 9 hits and 5 strikeouts there, allowing a home run in that as well. The bullpen comes in and minimizes the damage as well. Anderson and Darnell giving up a couple of earned runs. The big problem, I think, with the pitching on this one, of course, with in addition to the Dollander stuff, is it's just walks. I mean, it's just unacceptable to give a team like the Dodgers 6 free bases, and the Dodgers constantly made you pay with that. When you give those threats, they're going to be able to go and do the damage. They're going to be able to hit a bomb right after that. If you give the Dodgers the opportunity, just like it happens time and time again with anybody at Coors Field, but with the Dodgers, especially with their success, with their control of the game, especially against the Rockies, you can't have that. You were close. The score, you lost by 4 here at the end of this one. Only separated by 2 hits, though. But when you add in 6 free bases, when you add in the 6 free passes, just can't happen. These are the learning and the moments. As much as I definitely don't want there to be the damage done to Chase's confidence and for him to not feel like he can get the job done. I don't want that to be for this stint, this introduction, to kind of spoil his confidence in what he can do. I think that this should be the period of growth here is taking your lumps right now. I mean, and again, showing that as much as Chase has been a successful pitcher, as much as success as Chase Dollander has had in his career, moving up, through the other ranks, This is the big leagues. It is all about execution. It's all about hitting your spots. And for him, it's about getting comfortable at Coors Field. The hardest thing, and the Rockies have missed out on a lot of this, but they have to be hyper-focused, locked in, and working with Chase Dollander every step of the way to figure out an attack strategy and an attack plan for Coors Field. The Rockies are at a point with their rotation that you are moving on or losing or seeing the what time has done to the Rockies rotation of the past. You haven't had him healthy in years, and when you've now had him healthy and had all the veterans in your rotation again, they've underperformed and been the worst rotation in baseball. You have to start planning and working towards the next thing, and Chase Dollander has to be the top priority. So hopefully by going through what's probably going to be another tough end of the season here for Chase Dollander, what part of what's so frustrating is this is what being on a team that isn't successful looks like. This is the harsh reality that I think so many athletes go through in the world of professional sports is you've been great. You've been awesome. You've been at the top of the game, at the top of the level, considered one of the top in the business for years, for the entire time that you've played baseball. But now that you get here and you're on the Rockies, that's not the case. So I think that this is you have to manage keeping your confidence in this. You have to be able to help Chase Dollander grow, and we have to see, hopefully, to end the season, a couple of nice strong starts at Coors Field to start boosting that confidence for him to now be able to go into the offseason and know and have a better understanding of what it is and what it takes to be a pitcher at Coors Field. This is now a situation in a moment here where Chase Dollander has to be sitting. This has to all be about growth and learning. And that's been the big theme for the Rockies going lately. And I want to read from a piece from MLB.com, probably coming up in segment number 2 today. But these games, these situations, these struggles for Chase Dollander can still lead to growth. It's going to be about how does Chase respond? How do the Rockies help Chase respond? How do the Rockies give Chase the resources to be successful? It's going to take investment and time on the Rockies side as well. Because, I mean, you don't have a long track record of the successful, of developing the successful pitchers, especially at Coors. And you can't just sit there and throw your hands up and say, sorry, Chase, that's what it is. This is what we do. It has to start getting really serious. You have to start really breaking these down, really diving into the analytics of these guys, of these young guys here, as you have to rebuild this rotation from the ground up, basically. You're looking at a situation next year where you have at least 3 spots to fill in your starting rotation because you have Antonio Senzatella and Kyle Freeland under contract still. So you still are going to have to figure out how are you going to be able to get your Blaylocks, your Gordons, your Feltners, your Dollanders, XYZ, keep going down the list of the names here. You have to start turning them into successful pitchers at Coors Field. You have to start finding the ways that's going to make them better at Coors. And it's easier said than done, of course. I mean, this is what we've been talking about with Rockies pitching for a long time. But you are entering a point here where we were coming into this season and we were saying, like, hey, the Rockies got their veterans to lean on, and you're not, you're going to be, it's going to be interesting to see when young Rockies pitchers get there. No, your hand has already been forced with the injuries the Rockies have faced to the rotation. Your hand has to be forced because of the poor performance from the Rockies starters here. The time is now. So again, the pressure is on the Rockies organization to be able to turn their pitching prospects into the elite level talent that they were projected to be. And you have to start, I mean, you have to pour money and time and investment into cracking the Coors Field case. It has to happen. It has to be a priority. You have to start looking at the game differently. You have to start looking for different philosophies. You have to start changing things because you can't just sit there and say, we're going to do the same exact thing that we've done for our entire existence with this next crop of pitchers. You need to be able to make it so Chase Dollander can keep striking people out to get the movement, get the break, figure out how to execute his pitches at altitude. Maybe maybe it's training at altitude the whole time. Maybe Chase's offseason program should be just throwing at the altitude and as much of that so you can get adjusted to that. I don't necessarily know what that process is like. I was never much very successful on the pitching side of the game. My point is, though, as much as we can hope and want the growth, and as much as we want to focus on that here going forward, it is time now for the Rockies to really start getting serious, really start locking in, really prioritizing, hey, we got to change how we handle our approach to pitching. We got to figure out how to start cracking this code here, because we got to get these guys performing and get this rotation up to snuff here, because we don't have veteran guys under long contracts that we can, other than two of them. And when you're looking at them, how much is the needle moving for Kyle Freeland and Antonio Senzatella right now? Kyle Freeland, again, my homer hat is on. I all the time. I'm a big Kyle Freeland guy, and I always will be. But the priority for the Rockies organization and on the development side has to be the figuring out how can we unlock these guys' potential at Coors Field. And it's something they have yet to really prove throughout their entire organization's history. So that's why the warning signs and the things that are making people concerned about the start to the season or to the start to the career for Chase Dollander are warranted. Because it's not just on, I mean, of course it's on the player. Of course it's on Chase. You know, the work has to be done. He's got to execute. He's got to perform. But we're still, again, talking about, are the right people in charge? Is the right approach being instilled? Is the right philosophy being passed through the Rockies pitching staff right now? And I don't think it is. I again think that it's crazy to me that the pitching staff has been the side of the coaching changes that has remained unscathed, when it has been a massive problem for them, especially when it comes to starters. So, as much as, but at the same time, all of that, let's reshape the conversation. Let's refocus this on growth, and we'll also take a look at some of the numbers from the Dodgers game, Dodgers finale as well, coming up on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes 5-Hour Energy Transfusion for the win. Time to fuel up and turn it up with the 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime-flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day, 5-Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. Maybe you're dragging. It's hot. It's out there. You're on hole 9, and you need a boost so you don't lose the back half of your round. Well, guess what? 5-Hour Energy's got you covered with that delicious grape, ginger, lime flavor of 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It's going to give you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the bev cart, because golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. Now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the United States. Tee up that trip. Visit 5HEWin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. Ends October 31st, 2025. Locked On Rockies here, putting a bow on the Dodgers series. And as much as, the frustration's there, and as much as I don't want to get too down on things, this was a solid series for the Colorado Rockies. Yes, it had a couple of, the losses were tough. The amount of runs allowed were tough. But the Rockies also fought back a little bit here. I'm charging my phone. Let me get some quick couple of tweets here from Patrick Lyons that to put a little extra, kind of some nice stuff here. And let's take a look at some of the numbers here as well. This is from Patrick Lyons here from earlier today. Remember when the 2025 Colorado Rockies were poised to set a record for most strikeouts in a season? Rockies have gone 9 consecutive games without striking out more than 8 times in a game. That's the longest such streak in team history in a decade. June 19th to 29th, 2015. And again, this is highlighted for the fact that this is a team that's going with lineups with a lot of young guys, with guys that have had a lot of minor league experience, guys that were waiting for their opportunity, and they're cutting down on the strikeouts. It's still something that the Rockies do a lot, but for this to be the best stretch of not striking out a lot in over a decade, that's a sign of growth. The Colorado Rockies need 4 wins over their final 34 games in order to avoid 122 losses and the worst record in the modern era. They have never had a 4-30 stretch in the history of their franchise. Now, they've done some other, they've certainly done things that they've never done in the history of their franchise before. But in the wake of this series, you're sitting here and saying this continues to be a different Rockies team. This is a Rockies team that, again, 10 hits against the Dodgers, a couple of big flies. And just the one big fly from Brenton Doyle, which was an absolute bomb. The Rockies racking up the 10 hits here, driving in the 5 runs, bouncing back with a couple of innings with a couple of scores there. It's unfortunate, again, when you're down heading into the top of the 4th there before they played 2 more runs, when you're already down 5-1. And then it's 7-2 by the end of the 4th inning. It's a tough spot to be for the Rockies offense, especially going up against the Dodgers. But the Rockies were able to bounce back, cut the lead in half after the Dodgers played it 2 runs. We're able to put up a run to make it a 7-2 ball game. So keep it at least a 5-run game. Had a run scored in the 6th, a couple of runs scored in the 8th there. They couldn't keep the Dodgers off the board as the offense was just rolling. And again, it's a good Dodgers team, even with some of the with Shohei out of the lineup. You still got Mookie Betts, you still got Freeman, you still got Smith, and even though Conforto is the numbers aren't great there on the season, he still picks up an RBI. That always happens. You look at some of these numbers, some of these stat lines for some of these guys on the Dodgers. Still successful in the series. And of course, they ran into Clayton Kershaw, who has dominated the Rockies for his entire career. 6 hits over 5 2/3. He struck out 3 there, allowing 3 earned runs. The Rockies able to tag there. I liked the aggression in the first inning there as well, where the Rockies were able to plate that and trying to do some stuff with bunting. The broadcast mentioned this as well. Trying to, force the pitcher to make a play, force Clayton Kershaw, the older version of Clayton Kershaw to execute on defense. I like the approach that the Rockies, it hasn't panned out perfectly, but I like that the fact that the Rockies approach seems more confident and they're willing to do stuff like that. It just seems a little bit more creative and a little bit more of pressing on the gas, not feeling so timid, not feeling like they have to, just get on by just hitting a base knock or something like that. There was still good stuff in this series. And let's read a little bit more about the growth of the Rockies here from Cole Bradley. Rockies pass a big test in showdown with reigning test here. The improvements weren't evident in Thursday's 9-5 loss to wrap up the series at Coors Field, but a broader look at the series and the second half as a whole suggests otherwise. The key hasn't been just playing smarter or showing resilience, but simply continuing to forge ahead. I think we do a good job moving on, Rocky shortstop Ryan Ritter said. We obviously have been through some struggles this year, but I feel like we're a team that believes in what we have here. We're showing what we have, ultimately putting things behind us and moving forward is what we've been doing here. The Rockies are 15-17 since the All-Star break after splitting a 4-game set with the Dodgers for the first time since September 26th through 28th, 2023. They've won 5 series during the second half after claiming only 2 in the entire first half. A driving force behind those young results? Young players taking advantage of those opportunities. Take recent call-ups Warming Bernabel and Kyle Karros, who've contributed to an improved offense, whose 102 runs scored in August are tied for the 3rd most in baseball. Bernabel was the hero in Monday's opener, which snapped a 10-game losing streak against the Dodgers. Tanner Gordon has highlighted a group of several young arms who've made positive strides on the mound. Facing a good team like they are and doing well, that gives us a lot of confidence moving forward, knowing what we can do as a team, Ritter said. Anytime you face a team like the Dodgers and have success, you're doing something right. And that is a good takeaway to have for the Rockies players. It wasn't perfect. Like the beginning of that piece said, the growth, the change, all that stuff, all of the fact that the Rockies have won 7 out of 10 games after that 8-game losing streak here. All that gets washed under the table when the Rockies lose again, especially when they drop a series to a team like the Dodgers, not as dropping a series, but dropping that finale there, not getting the job done and coming up short. And sometimes some of those numbers on the scoreboard, you kind of get shocked at. But they know that they played well in that series. They know that the Dodgers came into town and they handled business for the most part. But they also saw, again, as I've said multiple times, they also saw those are the champs. We kicked the ball around. We weren't executing on defense. We had an error. We're letting the ball get behind us. We're letting the short hops eat us up. Those little things are going to add up, and that is going to get in the way of us from beating that team. But we also took down Shohei Ohtani. We also had won a close game in the opener. In the close game in the series here, there was only one close game between the Rockies and the Dodgers, really, at the end of the day in this series. And the Rockies were the ones that won that one. where the Rockies have lost a lot of games by one, lost a lot of games late in this season. They were the ones that won the close game, and they did it against the Dodgers. So this growth, these moments are important here. These small victories, these things of a reminder, and that idea of forging ahead. I mean, again, this is a team that I think has kind of thrown the record out the window and goes in and just approaches each day by saying, we got to do that. We have to execute here. If we execute this, we got a chance. And in the second half of the season, the Rockies have shown that. They have been a near 500 team, below 500, mind you, but not multiple 8-game losing streaks. They've had the one in this one, but we're talking about a team that had multiple 8-game losing streaks in the first half of the season. 2 series wins compared to the 5 they have now, and a series split, a 4-game series split against the Dodgers. Holding your own at Coors Field. Good steps in the right direction. The journey is very long. The journey of 1,000 miles has to begin with a single step. And the Rockies might be taking those steps right now, those first ones. But as we say a lot on this show, it's about doing it again. It's about following up with it. It's about consistency. So can the Rockies keep the momentum and be consistent throughout the rest of the season and now on the road? The Rockies have been able to be, these series wins that the Rockies have had, they have been mostly at home. Can the Rockies be successful on the road as well? A lot more in that piece here, including comments from Warren Schaefer on the Rockies here. But just before we finish, just on this Rockies past the big test and showdown with reigning champs from Cole Bradley on MLB.com. Just wanted to read a little bit from the Chase Dollander section here. Rookie right-hander Chase Dollander couldn't make it through 4 innings after allowing 7 earned runs to a Dodgers lineup that got to him right out of the gate. Dodgers first baseman Freddie Freeman belted a 2-run home run, followed a leadoff walk to put Colorado in an early hole. Miguel Rojas laid down a bunt single to score a run, and Will Smith was hit by a pitch with the bases loaded to add to the Dodgers' lead in the second. Dollander allowed 3 more runs before he was removed, taking another step back in his third start since being recalled from AAA Albuquerque, where he spent over a month ironing out his struggles. He's another young player viewed as an important cog in the Rockies' rebuild, and one the club hopes can gain enough experience in his first season to build upon for the future. Even in rough outings, there's good things that you can take away, Schaefer said. Not everything he did out there was bad today. He did a lot of good things, but you have to take the good, you have to take the not so good, learn from them both, and move forward. Progress doesn't happen overnight, especially for a largely inexperienced team trying to cut their teeth in the majors. It's taken plenty of work and improvement for the Rockies to get where they are now, still a far cry from where they ultimately want to be. I couldn't agree more there. Lots more in that piece there. Rockies passed a big test in showdowns with reigning champ by Cole Bradley, MLB.com for that. All right, let's take one more break and put a bow on this episode by looking ahead to the Rockies road trip here and kind of maybe looking ahead at the schedule to see if we can do a little, wins and losses to see what's coming up next for the Rockies, to see will they get their wins to avoid that dreaded worst team ever, or will they lose 100 games first? Let's talk about that coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Back at it here for segment number 3 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. We're free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. All right, Rockies head to Pittsburgh here. Antonio Senzatella on the bump here as we're looking ahead over the next couple of series, or the next few series here. So Rockies in a situation here. They need to get 3 or 5 more wins. Like we said, was it 4? Patrick is saying only 4 more wins. Need 4 more wins, but that's tying. I do not want the Rockies to tie the White Sox for the worst record ever. I'm talking about exceeding that. And so the Rockies got a 3-game set at Pittsburgh, a 3-game set at Houston, 3-game set at Chicago and San Francisco. It's actually after this, it's a 9-game homestand there at home. I don't think it's out there and crazy to say if the Rockies are able to be successful in the first game of the series, they have a chance. They really need to be they really need to lock in for the first two games, because as much success as the Rockies had against Paul Skeens last time that they saw him, it's still Paul freaking Skeens. If I see Skeens starting and I see him going up against the Rockies there, I'm sorry, my confidence is low in their ability to win that game. So these first two games are going to be important, and it starts with Antonio Senzatella here. Again, 100 innings pitched. He had the 5 scoreless innings there the last time he was out, which was a great sign, especially when we're looking for the bounce back there. Gave the 4 hits up there against versus Arizona, and that was at Coors Field. So a good sign. But it's like we said, it's do it again, replicate. And this is a Pirates team that shouldn't be the most imposing force on offense, especially when you're looking at the numbers here. The Rockies, a much better offense than the Pittsburgh Pirates offense in most categories, some not so much. Rockies got the team batting average of 240, the Pirates 232. The Rockies have scored 485 runs compared to the Pittsburgh's 449. Rockies have 1,025 hits, the Pirates 984. The Rockies have hit 131 home runs compared to Pittsburgh's 88. So that might be a good sign there, right there. The Pittsburgh, not necessarily a team that hits a ton of home runs, but a team that just impressed against the Blue Jays there. They just won their last series, taking 2 out of 3 against Toronto there in Pittsburgh. And like we mentioned here, the Rockies, you got to rely on a guy that has given up the damage here. So we'll see if the Rockies, even though they got the advantage on the offense, the Pirates do have a higher OBP. That's about it on the offensive side for team statistics. So that's the big difference maker. And the major difference here between the two pitching staffs, of course, the Rockies have the higher whip and ERA and way less strikeouts here. The Rockies opponent batting average still 299 against them here. So can a weaker Pirates offense take advantage of the Rockies pitching, especially starting pitching, that allows as many hits as they do? The Rockies will be trying to take down Braxton Ashcraft, 3-2 with the 3.02 ERA, the whip of 1.27 in 41 innings pitched. He's allowed 40 hits in that time, striking out 37 in that time. I mean, this is what's crazy, folks. If you doubled the innings pitched and you doubled the strikeouts for Ashcraft here, he would have about 83 innings pitched roughly. He would have more strikeouts than Antonio Senzatella by, what is that? That would be, if you double, my brain's not firing the fastest. So 74 strikeouts there with the help of the quick calculator. I know, embarrassing. I got it. Not a math guy. Crazy, I know. That is almost 20 more strikeouts than Antonio Senzatella would have on this year. And Antonio Senzatella's allowed 39 free passes. Even if you'd have to triple, I believe, the amount of walks that Ashcraft has had for him to tie it there. And Senz has allowed 19 home runs here. So this game, for the Rockies to start things off on the right foot here, to get themselves here in a spot where they can win the regular season series against the Pirates, and it will take one win to do that. You got to do it here, and it all starts with Antonio Senzatella, and it starts with the offense backing him up here on the road as well. So we'll see. I do think, though, when you're looking at the schedule, a series win here for the Rockies puts you in a position where I think you avoid the worst team ever record before losing 100 games. Don't know what that means for you. Don't know how much that makes you feel better about the Rockies and how the season has gone. But I do think that the path of Houston has played the Rockies very well. They have to go to Houston. Houston's certainly not going to be in a position where they want to be dropping any of those games, even with their struggles of late. So we'll see. But I do think when you go back to Coors Field, and when you're looking at the fact that the even though it is the Giants offense isn't all that great. The Cubs have not been the same team. I think that there is a path here for the Rockies to pick up those 5 wins before they drop 9 games. If you just say the Rockies only win 1 game out of the next series here. You got, what is that? Because they're all 3-game series. So 1, 2, 3. You would basically be coming just short or just shy of that. You would just be missing out if you only won 1 game out of your next 4 to 5 series, basically. you would just be missing out on that 100 losses before getting the 42 wins. I think the Rockies can do it, and it would be a great growth moment for there. And if the Rockies can roll to finish the season, if they can keep playing at the level of baseball that they're playing right now, I'm just going to throw this. I'm just going to throw this out here because it's still going to take a lot. It's still going to take a lot of things to go right. Just want to throw this out here right now. The White Sox have 45 wins right now. Would there be a world that if the Rockies finish the rest of the season on a heater, shaking up playoff races along the way, can they catch the White Sox? Not just the White Sox of last year, but the White Sox of this year. That'd be an interesting way to finish up the season. Let me know what you think in the comments below, because that is going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. You can find us free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, and you can find us on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can find us in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section as well. Fire off your Rockies hot takes. For your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB and Locked On MLB Game Night. All the coverage from around the big leagues there. And, of course, we got you covered with Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, and Buffs, all free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.